We thought Halloween was over, but nothing is over. Nothing is over until we say it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Germans? Forget him, man. He's rolling. Hell no! And it ain't over now. Because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Now who's with me? Let's go! Ah! Yeah, I don't want to just stop watching horror movies because it's November. Welcome to College Success Coaching. This is Eric Allen, and let's get started. The whole person. Welcome, everybody. It is great to be back here and surviving a trick-or-treating extravaganza. Hopefully you were too, and hopefully you remembered that today is the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day, and also the new mug of the week. Good day, sunshine on a rainy, cloudy, dark early, daylight savings ending day. The point is life is good. Check it out. All right. The other side, my favorite, do what you love what you do. That's what I do every day. Doesn't mean I love everything I have to do to get to do what I love to do, but I, at some point, at least every day, do what I love to do. And I recommend that you do the same. I want to talk about that a little bit later, and remind me if I forget. But we are going to go over a couple of things like that. I want to talk about what the difference is between being able to do what you're good at and maximizing your strength and leaning on your strengths, because I'm all about that life, but also gaining the skill set of doing what needs to be done, but you don't necessarily want to do, because that's also extremely important for things like respect, confidence, networking, people being impressed with you, and social capital. So we're going to get into all of that. But first, it's time to talk about the article of the week. This week's article of the week is on Guy Fawkes Day. If you are looking on YouTube, the YouTubes, you can look on the comments section, the comments tube, and you can see the link has been put in there for you. But if you are here on our subscribe channel, thank you very much. You're one of our own. So nice to see you. Again, where the big dogs roll. This is remember the 5th of November. How Guy Fawkes Day is like Britain's 4th of July. It's really interesting that that's how they say it. And this is from the Inquisitor, so take it for what it is. But I love that they kind of say that and come out with it, but then as they talk about it, you're kind of like, oh, this is nothing like the 4th of July, actually. So why do people talk about Guy Fawkes Day, and why is V for Vendetta tied directly to it? So we'll get into this when we get into the article. 400 years after an act of terrorism almost destroyed the British government, the country's people celebrate it in a variety of ways. Already, that's a little odd. So happy Guy Fawkes Day! Today is November 5th, or Guy Fawkes Day, as it's known in Britain and across much of the Commonwealth. And for those who are not familiar, here's the briefest of brief explanations for how and why this day is the sort of British equivalent to America's 4th of July. Nice. Aaron Homer wrote this, by the way. Thanks, Aaron. America's national holiday commemorates a vote, a mundane procedural vote that had no real impact on the independence process. The United Kingdom's national holiday commemorates a foiled terrorist plot. Well, I got to say, it's not like our founding fathers were not considered terrorists and guerrilla tacticians by the British government that ruled over the colonies that were then rebelling against them. So a lot more similar than this person's willing to admit. Who was Guy Fawkes? He was a terrorist. So this is one of those interesting things. Before we even get into this, I can't help it. I know a lot of you are like, oh, God, he's already getting into it. We didn't even get into the article. But listen, you're a terrorist if you lose and it doesn't work out for you because the government sustained its power and thus you lost. And so you're a terrorist and you're scum. You're a liberator and a founding father if your terrorist acts succeeded and the government backed off or was destroyed and you got to put in a new government in its place. But they're both terrorists, right? So both are willing to kill and blow up things and cause violence in order to push their agenda and fight against the government. I just want to make that really clear. So just so we're all clear, Guy Fawkes was a terrorist because he lost. Our founding fathers are founding fathers because they won. See, they both used explosives, both were willing to kill for their agenda, both had an extreme hatred for the government that was in place. Yeah, really similar. Anyway, let's talk about why Guy Fawkes is not as cool as George Washington. We're going to gloss over a century or so of complicated historical and political nuance, but long story short, by November 4th of 1605, that's a while ago, things between Catholics and Protestants in England were, shall we say, tense. For those of you who don't even know what those two things are, because I can't take anything for granted anymore, Catholics are one type of Christian that has a pope that lives in the Vatican, which is in Italy. And it is like considered the first Christian church. The Protestants in England, they were the Anglicans. They were a specific sect of Protestantism. So this was a type of Christianity that broke off away from the Catholic Church, but not super long ago, if you're looking at 1605. So there was a lot of hatred between these two groups. Fawkes, a Catholic, joined up with other terrorists, again, those lovely terrorists, in a plot to blow up the Parliament building and in the process destroy the House of Lords and, with any luck, kill then King James I. So that's like a pretty serious deal. They're going to blow up the Parliament building, which I don't know if you know how big that is. It's pretty big. Has a lot of people in it. They were going to blow it up. And the House of Lords, probably, hopefully, with the Lords in it. And the king. They were going to murder the king. We didn't even try to kill the king. Like, you don't hear about, well, in the Revolutionary War, George Washington sailed back across the Atlantic and tried to shoot the king right between the eyes. That's not how it was. It was not like that at all. This was a lot different in the sense that the violence was cranked up to like an 11. And that's saying something considering how bloody the revolution was. Anyway, when Parliament opened the next day, November 5th, his hope was that ensuing events would install a pro-Catholic government, granting rights that had been denied to other Catholics. Note that this is the simplest and most basic of explanations of an intensely complicated political and religious situation that would have taken hundreds, if not thousands, of words to properly explain. Thank you for giving us that. I mean, it really is. You could look it up. It's got a lot of information. Hopefully you actually had a historian, teacher in your history class that wanted to talk about it, but probably not. But still, this is more of an explanation than you get from V for Vendetta, which just literally shows this beginning scene that makes him almost look like a hero, even though clearly he's a terrorist. Unfortunately for Fawkes and his co-conspirators, a snitch turned them in. Ooh, those snitches. Snitches get stitches. And on the night of November 4th, Fawkes was found underneath the building guarding 36 barrels of gunpowder, more than enough to destroy the building and kill everyone therein. There's a lot of Mordor. The plot having been foiled, the people, the Protestant anyway, of England and Scotland celebrated by lighting bonfires, ringing church bells, and making general merriment to commemorate the foiled gunpowder plot as it came to be known. Not noticed was all the Catholics who were probably crying about the fact that their only chance for having equal rights because they're Catholic, thwarted by the fact that this guy got stopped. The event commemorated each year afterward, and a 400-year tradition was born. Fawkes, for his part, was tortured, then hanged, then drawn and quartered. Not pretty. Dude was put all over the city of London, like pieces of him. Brutal. Mordor. Anyway, how Guy Fawkes Day night actually is celebrated. For starters, there's that poem that you might have learned in elementary school, or if you watched the 2005 movie V for Vendetta. Remember, remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. I added the end part there because they didn't have that, but just it's good. It's cool. It's like a neat little... Anyway, across the British Isles, the night is marked by bonfires. Indeed, it's also called Bonfire Night. Woo! That's original. Burning effigies of the terrorist whose name the day bears, and like its American counterpart, National Holiday, which is kind of the opposite because it celebrates the terrorists winning. You ever play Counter-Strike? Terrorists win. In England, it's like counter-terrorists win. Tonight, fireworks displayed are planned for major cities in England and Scotland, so there you go. That is what you need to know about Guy Fawkes Day. That's why people talk about it. It's kind of weird. It's one of these juxtaposed things where it's like they say it's July. It's the opposite of our 4th of July. It would be like if the Founding Fathers lost, the king came into town, all of the Founding Fathers were found and hung and drawn and quartered all over, and everybody celebrated, yay, we killed the terrorists, and then we burned effigies every 4th of July and still spoke with a funny accent. Happy Guy Fawkes Day. Anyway, this has been the article of the week. So for all of you who are still on YouTube and you're dealing with this wonderful information that I just gave you, feel free to throw in the comments section what you think about that. And if you'd like to have more information about what that means for you and why I want to talk about it today in terms of what it is that I'm going to be discussing that I talked about in the intro, go ahead and like and subscribe. Throw in the notification bell if you'd like. It dings, it dongs. It doesn't really do any of those things, but it does tell you when new videos come up, which is just about every single week. I put out a lot of content, pretty prolific. But you cannot hear any more of the questions and answers, and you will not be able to hear more of what I have to talk about, which I did say it's going to be interesting, unless you go into collegesuccesscoaching.com and you subscribe. It's a 2-week free trial, no problem. Just throw in some payment information, jump back on. You can see the live stream, catch the rest of it, or you can just watch the recorded video. If you're watching this later in the week or sometime in the future, you can go and check out what we're doing now, the latest and greatest information. You also can have your questions answered by me, and you get the discounted service, obviously, if you want to do a one-to-one, where we actually get to talk, and that's pretty cool. I'd like to hear more about you and what you think and what you're going through every week so that I can add it to my weekly information and discussion, and it could probably help everybody else. But come join the community. It's fun anyway. Otherwise, we're going to be signing off for you guys on the YouTubes, and it'll be just me and the people in the back. So thanks.